children learn the best by what's modeled for them. If you want your child to grow up reading the Bible, make that a priority. Sit down with them and read a story each day out of the Bible.
Just as a preschool director, what's one of the craziest moments that you've had just kind of run into preschool?
One of the craziest moments was my first year here. I was very pregnant, and I had a preschooler look at me and he was like, how did that baby get in your belly? And I was like, oh boy, we're really going there. This is really a conversation that you should be having with mom and dad.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Raising the Next Gen podcast. I am so excited about our guest today. She's just a wonderful human in general. And I've had the great pleasure of knowing Kristin for almost 6 years, believe it or not. And I've gotten to watch her become a mom. I've gotten to watch her raise her own children, but I've also gotten to watch Kristin raise other people's children in the most beautiful way. And I say that lightly, but teachers, administrators, they do raise our children when we are not with them. And so it's just, it's humbling to watch somebody that you know is just living straight into their God-given gifts. And it just kind of gives me goosebumps when I think about it. And so I'm super thankful for you to come here today, Kristin. Kristin Notch is the director of our Calvary Preschool here. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about who Kristin is, as well as when we're talking about raising the next gen in faith, what does that mean for our littles, our preschool kids? So Kristin, welcome to Raising the Next Gen.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Oh, yeah, I was really honored that you're here. Hey, will you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, how you got into early childhood? You've been doing this, like, you look so young, but you've been doing this a surprisingly long time.
I have actually. So I have always known that I've wanted to work with children, right? So right out of high school, I obtained my associate's degree in young child education. So from there, I became a paraprofessional. Something unique about me is I've kind of have experience in all areas of education. I started as a paraprofessional where that's where I really learned that, hey, I think I want to become a teacher. So during my time as a para, I went to Southwest State and I obtained my bachelor's degree in early child education and then my teaching license in birth through third grade. How I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, I was very blessed. And growing up, my siblings were much older than me, but my niece and nephew were born when I was a teenager. Okay. So I kind of got to grow up being their nanny, essentially. So I got to take them to swimming lessons and to t-ball. And I just always remembered watching their faces light up when they would learn something new. And still to this day, that is my favorite thing about being a teacher is when you get to see a child just so proud of themselves when they learn something new, when they master a new task.
And I think that that's so funny because what I get to watch when I watch you teach or lead preschool chapel or anything like that, your face lights up when their face lights up. And I think that's just like the joy of like living into God's vocational call for you. That's pretty incredible. You've been here at Calvary how long?
This is my 6th year here at Calvary. You and I started together, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, just a little. But this will be my 6th year here at Calvary, and my 3rd year as director. That doesn't seem possible either. Yes. However, I have been working with preschoolers. I was trying to do the math before I came here today, but this is my 15th year working in preschool.
15 years of working with preschoolers. And you have a couple of your own kiddos. You have Miss Oakland, Mr. Brantley, and they're how old?
Brantley is 5. He will turn 6 this fall. So this is his first year of kindergarten, which I'm trying to mentally prepare myself for. And Oakland is 4. Both of them have also came here with me to Calvary Preschool. So Oakland will be entering her 2nd year of preschool and coming here with me.
Launching that first one off to kindergarten, I hear ya. This is hard. The story we tell in my family is that when Chase, my oldest, who is now in his late 20s, he wanted to ride the bus, but we lived really close to the school. And so I was like, gonna drive him to school. I was like, I'm just gonna drive to school. It was like my way of controlling the things I couldn't control. And then Chase was like, no, I'm gonna ride the bus. And then finally my husband was like, why don't you just let him ride the bus? And so I said, okay. So I signed him up for the bus. I watched him get on, and then I had like panic. Yes, I drove behind the bus for the rest of the bus. He got off the bus and he saw me there. He rolled his eyes. Oh my over his head and straight into the school, and I knew that I'd blown it. So, if you can do better than that,
Oh, I don't know. I would be the same mom. I It's just been wonderful getting to experience preschool, where I can go volunteer and be in their classroom, or I can pop my head in and see how they're doing. So it's a big change for our family, but it's going to be good for him to grow in his independence where mom's not there hovering too.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. So here I got some questions about how we, as people who are around preschoolers, like we're talking a lot about on this podcast about how can we help our kids sort of grow spiritually and wonder about God. And I know that you have a lot of training in some specific niches when it comes to young children. They really experience God in a different way.
They do, and at this age, things are still kind of black or white to them, right?
Mhm.
Um, they experience it in a way through kind of curiosity or asking questions that kind of throw us off on, I kind of have to think about how I'm going to answer that too. So, ways that we kind of foster curiosity in preschool is if they have a big question pertaining to, such as like Easter or something.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes.
It's a hard concept for
Easter is a hard concept for kiddos. So
hard concept for theologians, just so
yeah.
So we have with 3 L's, that's probably really hard too.
But something that we try to do is we try to kind of partner that with a hands-on learning activity that fits the Bible story to kind of show them a picture of what that looks like. So, for example, Easter time, we do resurrection buns. So it's kind of a visual representation. So for those of you who don't know what resurrection buns are, it's a crescent roll. And each piece symbolizes a different piece of the story. So the crescent roll is the tomb. And then you put a marshmallow in the inside, which is Jesus, and you bake it. And when you open up the resurrection bun, Jesus has risen. He is gone. Yes, it is gone. So it's kind of a visual representation that matches the story that shows them.
Yeah. So some way for them to actually tangibly sort of start to grasp 10 of these great, big, huge concepts of God. Yes. I think you're right about their black and white thinking. I think that preschoolers ask really big, tough, beautiful questions, which I actually think gives them more agency, I think, in some ways. Like they understand, they get things about God that I think that we don't get. Or we can't put words to, or we're maybe afraid to ask sort of those questions that preschoolers are so bold with.
I would 100% agree. Yes. A question that we had just on our way to pick strawberries at Country Blossom this morning is, my son saw a cross on the side of the road, so we had to go over why there might be a cross on the side of the road. And then he goes into, Mom, why did they hang Jesus on the cross to begin with? So part of those big questions on, okay, so how deep do I go into this? What is age appropriate for a 5-year-old to learn about why Jesus is on the cross? So, big questions like that. And sometimes they have big questions and I don't always know the answers. So I lean into people like you and Hans, or we find a Bible story that connects to the question and we read it and wonder about it together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think sometimes faith is in the wondering. And I don't know, sometimes I think we as parents or caregivers, we want to have the answers. And then we think that we can't actually equip them with the faith that we don't actually have the answers ourselves. The way I hear you saying is that, like, sometimes it's just simple. Well, people got mad at Jesus. I'm going to put him on the cross. And it was not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God did something really big in it anyway.
Yeah, and we talked about people were mad and they put him on the cross and he died for you and I so that we could go to heaven and be with him someday. And
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So it's so fun. So what when you think of like Bible stories that you tend to sort of lean into, what are ones that work really well with preschoolers that you kind of enjoy or that you see that they kind of grasp onto?
Yeah, that is a wonderful question. We always try to connect Bible stories with a social emotional lesson and try to make them hands-on. We just find that kind of helps them to stick in their brains, or for them to kind of understand them in a way that is age appropriate, right? So some of my favorite ones are, we talk a lot about Noah's Ark, and we connect that to weather. We talk about creation.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yep. We talk around holidays. We also that's one of my favorite things about teaching preschool, right? Is you get to talk about the real reason we celebrate Christmas and some of these holidays. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, I remember my kids had like a little Noah's Ark play set when they were little. I think do they still make that?
They still do. They even make a little people one that we have. But sometimes we even read the story and then we have the preschoolers kind of act it out as a play. So if we, not even directed, but like if you are this person in this story, go find a prop in the room. What would you use? And then we read the story and then they kind of act it out. So that's a really fun way to incorporate
something that you would use. You were part of the story. Love that. That's a really tangible way that I think parents and grandparents and caregivers can try and do a little faith in there.
Yes.
Just and to see where they make the
connection and the things that they come up with. Like you were like, oh, I wouldn't have picked that, but I could see why you picked that.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I think, like you said, watching their little brains light up when they make those connections about how those things sort of work. Yeah, no, that's incredible. When you think about your own kids, what are some faith strategies that you've had to use sort of in your own home? We talk a lot about milestones or creating little holy moments. It don't have to be Oshtan. You don't have to have a whole home chapel with like a candles and wreaths in the middle of the table. But like, what are some strategies that have worked when it comes to your own kids?
Yeah, we kind of try to find God in the little things. So when we're driving around and we see a beautiful sunrise or a sunset, look at the beautiful sky that God painted today. Or something might happen, or we might see something and we kind of bring it into, I hope God is with that person that day. So for example, we were on a road trip and we saw a really bad accident. And so we took some time and we prayed for them people and we just wished them well and we hope God is with them today and that they're okay.
Yeah, you're building those little habits in the household that so that when they get a little bigger, they test to see something and they think, oh, the first reaction that was you is either thinking God,
yep,
or praying.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great book out there by Anne Lamott. She's a great author, and she says that there's really 3 prayers. There's help, there's thanks, and there's wow. Your name in 2 of those.
Yeah.
You know what? Please help this family.
Yes.
I'm the first responders. God, thank you for this. Or no, I guess thank you could be anything, but it could be thank you and wow for this sort of sunset. But to just keep it simple for our preschoolers, that they can kind of grow up and kind of learn those things. What other advice would you give parents, grandparents, caregivers? We got all kinds of folks listening to this if they want to nurture their faith at home with their littles.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. I think children learn the best by what's modeled for them. So if and it all depends on the family and what your values are or what your goals are. So if you want your child to grow up reading the Bible, make that a priority. Like sit down with them and read a story each day out of the Bible. If pray with them, like just take the time to pray with them. Notice God in the little things. Celebrate not only, we tend to go to God when things are wrong, right? And we like to pray for him, but not only celebrate him in those times, but celebrate him in times of joy too, when you're thankful for things or something is really going right too.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And I think, don't you think it starts when they're little?
It does. Yeah.
But you're right. They're always watching, always looking to see what you're doing. That's kind of a theme we keep sort of hearing, just to sit there and say like, how important it is for them to sort of think and to watch. They're just paying attention to see what exactly you're up to.
By modeling and then just partnering with them and making it a point to connect with them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's really an important fact too, to just and every preschooler is different, right?
They are. And even in my own kids. So my son really notices the little things. Like God painted a beautiful sky today, where my daughter, she thrives in bedtime prayers. Like she loves reading the Bible before bed. So that's something that her and I do together, where my son doesn't so much love reading the Bible before bed, but he likes to tell stories. So yes.
So you kind of do both and based on kind of what their needs are.
Yes.
I think what I hear you saying, I know you just keep thinking about this too. You're somebody who's got adult children. how important it is to start when it's just easier to start when they're little and you build that foundation. Now, sometimes it's hard if you maybe didn't come to faith until your kids were a little bit older, or awkward to sit there and say to your teenager, hey, we're going to read a story from the Bible with, I feel like, excuse me, no, right? But preschoolers really get to view this openness to be able to sort of experience miracles, really.
Yes.
You know, you sit there and think about when Jesus said, hey, let the little children come to me, for theirs is the kingdom of God. It's almost like they already get the kingdom of God, even more than we do.
They have the imagination to be able to see it in a different way than we are able to, I believe.
Yeah, isn't that incredible?
It is incredible.
So, all right. We're going to kind of close up our time part together today, but tell me, like, just as a preschool director, what's one of the craziest moments that you've had just kind of running a preschool, like Calvary's preschool?
Oh, the craziest moments.
Just like a fun preschool moment where you're like, this happened and I can't believe it happened.
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. I think one of the craziest moments that I kind of brought back to my faith was my first year here. I was very pregnant. I had a baby like 1 month into teaching, right? And I had a preschooler look at me and he was like, how did that baby get in your belly? And I was like, oh boy, we're really going there. This is really a conversation that you should be having with mom and dad. But I kind of phrase it as it takes a mom and a dad and a little bit of God. But yes,
so that's exactly it, right? That's the whole point of getting their minds to just get comfortable with those questions. You know, when I work with older people, adults, and so they're afraid to ask those questions. You know, they have these big questions about God and something holds us back.
Yeah, it doesn't hold a preschool back. Nope, they ask all the questions. I could really write a book with all the stories that I could tell, but that's also what I love is it takes a relationship to have with a preschooler for them to ask those questions, right? For them to feel safe. So that's one of my biggest priorities as a teacher is relationships are really important to me, and I don't feel like any child wants to learn from you unless they have that relationship with you. So
yeah, I agree. So, Kristin, I just think that you're such an incredible gift to not only this church, but this community. And I'm super thankful that you are here today and really are willing to sort of shine your light. Like, it's like the light shine through you onto these preschoolers as they're sort of developing and growing in their faith. If one of our listeners has a question about the Calvary Preschool, or they'd like to get in contact with you, or maybe they have a friend who's a preschool director who'd love to kind of connect,
yeah,
I would do
love that. There are a few ways that they can contact me. They can call us here at the church. Our number is 320-763-5178, or they could email me. My email is preschool@calvaryalex.org.
Awesome. That can find out just more information about the preschool and ways to sort of...
Yes, they can find out more information about our preschool. We also have a webpage, so it's calvaryalex.org/preschool. There you will find all of our class openings that we might still have. If you want to register for preschool or contact me, my contact information is up there too. I also give tours for anyone who is interested in learning a little bit more about our preschool and starting to create those relationships that we care so much about here. So yeah, I would be happy to.
That's amazing. Well, we are certainly blessed by you. And, you know, I do love preschoolers. I think it's such a fun age. It was a fun age for me to parent, even though I'm past that. But maybe someday I'll get to grandparent to that age. But I do love just their big questions.
Yeah.
But I hear what you said, like do something tangible, figure out what works for that particular child, and then build those habits of just noticing is kind of what I am taking away as time together today. Friends, listeners, we're so thankful that you joined us here today. I want to remind you that we have a conference coming up. It's called the Connected Parenting Conference, where we're going to dive into technology and its influence not only in our lives, but the lives of the young people that we love and care with, and ways and strategies that we can sort of help and walk alongside them, as well as maybe even help and walk alongside ourselves, if we're really honest. That's going to be on September 27th from 9 until noon. There's childcare. And so we want to make it super easy for parents to be able to jump in and join us. We have some incredible speakers coming from around the world. I'm not even joking when I say that. Around the world to come and join us for that. So you can find out more on our website, raisingthenextgen.org.
Kristin, thanks so much for being here. Well, thanks for asking me.
All right, have a great
Yes.